Hey, GillT channel. And this channel, if you haven't watched it before, it's all about property, it's all about Cape Town, it's all about South Africa, and it's a lot of fun. So today, I want to ask the question, why haven't the property prices crashed? Okay, why are property prices not crashing down into oblivion and destroyed after the lockdown? Okay, because we had this lockdown, everybody thought, hey listen, when we come out of this, there's going to be just so many houses for sale, they're going to be so cheap, and we were so wrong. And now you're going to ask yourself the question, why is this? So with that, don't forget, pop down to my description box and have a look at the Varsity. It teaches you a lot about everything, especially investments and money and that sort of thing. And while you're there, look at the promos. Let's get on with it and let's talk about why the market hasn't crashed completely in South Africa in 2020. Goodness me. So, you've got to ask yourself the question. Here we are. We're in a market that we were expecting to kind of have a big price drop in it. Now there have been some price drops in specific areas, for example like Hout Bay, but you can sort of attribute that to there being an informal settlement there that's actually causing people not to want to buy in that area. So that kind of detracts from the area. And the more expensive areas may have taken a little bit of a knock in price, but that being because a lot of the clients that were purchasing the property there were actually from overseas, and the overseas clients are not purchasing in the country at the moment. So those areas are unique, and they will have their own sort of economy with regards to pricing. But the general family areas, like your west coast and your southern suburbs and that, those prices have held up relatively well. And you've got to ask yourself, why? Why have the prices held up? Well, firstly, we have to look at the prices were too high to start with, okay, and we haven't really needed to adjust that much, but we've adjusted prices according to where they should be. So prices are actually where they needed to be before and where they need to be now. So any price adjustment that you see is the correct price. So we haven't really had a drop in price, and why is that? The answer is actually quite simple, and it's supply and demand, okay? So it's quite, if you look at a graph, let's say these are your sellers, these are your buyers. Let's say you have loads of buyers, the buyers come into the market, okay, and these are your sellers. If you look at the graph, the price has to go up, okay, supply and demand. That said, if you get less buyers and more sellers, the price has to come down because there's too much on the market, supply and demand. But if you've got the same amount of buyers as sellers and they stay the same, nothing changes, okay? But what you've got now is a situation where you might have more sellers, but you've also got more buyers, so the graph stays exactly the same. And the same would happen if they went down, stays the same. So effectively, to get a price disparity, you've got to have a difference in amount of buyers to amount of sellers. Going to have a big difference, okay? That changes price. But when they stay the same, prices just run with the economy. So where's your best place to be when the economy is crashing? Property. You're rather going to buy property because you know that it's a solid asset. So that's a solid place to put your dosh. So while we talk about a property market crash, we also talk about where's the best place to actually go with your money right now, because that would be the spot to hold your money. So we're not expecting at the moment any mega change. We've come out of lockdown a while ago. Well, we're going back in actually the way things are, but it hasn't affected the market the way people expected it to. People were expecting doom and gloom. That might still come in a couple of months' time, when things start to rear their ugly heads, when people start to realize how damaged the economy is, and that sort of scenario. But as we stand right now, we've got enough buyers, we've got enough sellers. Prices can remain pretty constant. When I say constant, if there's a slight reduction or a slight drop here or a slight increase there, and different areas, like I say, have their own economic housing market, I'm not talking about a 10% change here or 5% change there, which everyone's had. I'm talking about a huge 50% knock, something like that, and no one has seen that. No one has seen that kind of disaster. Because what people were actually expecting was, when we came out of lockdown, was a whole lot of houses to be on the market because people lost their businesses, people lost their jobs. We all know that this has been a big nightmare in our scenario. So they expected those houses to come on the market cheap and to get to be desperately needed sold and that sort of thing. And the buyers expected that this would be there, and they all came flocking in. But what the buyers actually did by coming flocking in is they held the market up, because the more properties that came on the market, the more buyers came on the market, and it kept everything level. And we're actually finding at the moment, where I am, is that there's not enough properties for sale for the buyers that are out there. The buyers are looking in a certain price bracket, say under 2 million rand, and there ain't nothing to buy. There's lots to buy in the higher price brackets, and that's why I say places like the Atlantic Seaboard would suffer most, because their prices are upper fours, and their clients are also from out of town or from overseas. Makes a big difference. So I just thought I'd have a little bit of a chat about that with you this morning and see what you think. I mean, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this, and what you think is happening. I know a lot of people have said that there has been some major crashing in the market and that sort of thing, but as I say, I attribute that to specific areas and also a specific type of economy. In your normal, average, middle-class housing bracket, there hasn't been a hell of a big change in pricing. Pricing has stayed pretty close to where it is. Tongue-tied this time of the morning, can you believe it? Let's have a sip of the coffee there. So, that's the discussion, that's the thought. I'm not saying I'm right, it's just the way I'm thinking. Supply and demand, and that's what it is. Supply and demand doesn't change because it's property, whether it's cars, or whether it's food. Where there's supply, there's demand. So with that, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the discussion, and let me know. Like I say, let me know what you think, and don't forget, like, comment and subscribe. Smash the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, and follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching. Till next time, it's GillT. Cheers.